Hello, Leos, and welcome to this, your August 2024 reading and predictions. Please excuse my voice. I may end up coughing halfway through this video. Also, please excuse me if I seem like I'm rushing a little bit. I have lost 3 days' work to this terrible cold. So, let's dive right in. Let's take a look at where you are at now. We are also going to take a look at what you are focusing on, what you're looking towards manifesting. We're going to take a look at your difficult influences and challenges. We're going to also look at what you don't see coming in your unexpected. Okay, we have a lot of cards that have decided that they were going to jump out here. I'm going to collect them all up. And we're going to just mix up this smaller portion. Anything else? We have just one card that's come out. Anything else for Leo? No. Okay. So, Leo, we're going to start off your reading here with the Emperor. This is where you are at now. The Emperor is a card that is filled with masculine energies. Now, I'm not talking about male versus female, as in gender. I am talking about masculine energies versus female or versus feminine energies. And masculine energies are very consumed with the mind, the mental, our thoughts, and less consumed with the emotions, compassion, and empathy. The Emperor is a confident kind of person who goes out and goes after exactly what it is that he wants at this time. So it does look like you are in the process right now, Leo, of expressing yourself more clearly, having some very secure boundaries in what you are doing in your life. If you are not already there as we move out of July and into August, it does look like you will be in a position to be expressing firm boundaries. But as also with this Emperor, you will be in a position of being able to express yourself thoughtfully with regards to why you are placing more firm boundaries around yourself at this time. I read a quote recently that said, I'm going to end up paraphrasing it, but it was along the lines of the only people who are offended by you imposing boundaries, healthy boundaries, are those who were benefiting from you having no boundaries. And so, Leo, this Emperor coming in as we're moving out of July and into August, it does appear as though you are in that place of imposing healthier boundaries around yourself. All right, I am getting called over here to the fairy deck for looking at what you are focusing on, where you are putting your intentions, and what you are looking forward to manifesting during the month of August. We have the 10 of Wands coming out. The 10 of Wands is a card of burdens. It's a card of all work and no play makes Leo kind of boring. And so the 10 of Wands is a card of looking at the looking at the burdens that we are bearing and determining if those burdens are ours or if we are bearing someone else's burdens. And again, this plays into what I was picking up here with this Emperor card for leaving the month of July, moving into August, that you are in that place of looking at the burdens that you have in your life and setting new boundaries. This card you'll notice is called the 10 of Spring, but it corresponds to the 10 of Wands, which is the 10 of Fire. It's about taking action. And you'll notice the character on this card resembles Cinderella. So the other meaning behind this card is if you feel like you are being overwhelmed at this time, Leo, don't be afraid to ask for some help. Remember, Cinderella asked for help in order to be able to get her evil stepmother and stepsisters cast castle clean in time for her to be able to make it to the ball. And so this is a card of explore your burdens. If you are bearing someone else's burden at this time, if you are feeling guilty about having strong and firm boundaries, that's bearing someone else's burden. So take a look at that as you move through the month of August. And if you are feeling overburdened, if you're feeling like you've been multitasking and you have too much on your plate, don't be afraid to ask for some help and some assistance, Leo. You have two more cards that have come out for you. You have the Nine of Winter. This card corresponds to the Nine of Swords. This is the card of catastrophism. This is a card of lying awake in bed at night worrying. We know already that what we think about, we begin to manifest. So if you are lying awake in bed at night worrying about anything, eventually you will manifest that into your life. So there are techniques that you can use if you are waking in the middle of the night in order to be able to throw off these mental gymnastics that come up in the middle of the night. For those of you who don't know, I am a psychic, but I am also a certified counselor and a certified hypnotherapist with more than 20 years experience. So if any of this reading resonates with you and you'd like to delve deeper into a personal reading with me, I'll leave all my contact details down below. But we can also, in a personalized reading, delve into methods and techniques, including self-hypnosis, that I can teach you in order to be able to overcome this Nine of Swords, Nine of Winter, catastrophism type energy that may be coming up for you in the middle of the night. One of the reasons that the Nine of Swords comes up for us is because we are not holding and maintaining healthy boundaries for ourselves, and because we are bearing someone else's burdens. So when you learn healthy boundaries and you learn to say to somebody, that's not my stuff. That's yours. You can have it back. This Nine of Winter will actually disappear right out of your life, Leo. You also have the Queen of Spring, which is the Queen of Wands. This is the card asking you to believe in yourself. This is a card, you have this in your manifestation and what you are focusing on portion of your reading, and this is really positive. This queen is probably the most proactive queen in the deck because she is the queen of fire. And so she is the queen of getting stuff done. Do not rest on your laurels during the month of August, Leo. It is a time of action. Let's dive into what might be getting in your way. Challenges and difficult influences for Leo for the month of August. The congestion is coming back. So if I can get through this. Okay, let's see what's coming up for you. In your challenges, the first card out, oh my goodness, is the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is a card of feeling like you have just come through a battle. You'll notice here the character has the swords going through his back. He is lying on his front and he is desperately reaching for his broomstick. So yeah, this is a card of feeling overwhelmed. Do we have another card making you feel like you're a little overwhelmed in your reading? Actually, we do, and that would be this Ten of Spring over here, the Ten of Wands. You have the Knight of Wands in your difficult influences. Sorry, let's go back to the Ten of Swords for just a moment here, Leo. So the Ten of Swords in your difficult influences is telling me that you've just come through something that's really, really difficult. You are in the process of putting that behind you, but there's still sort of lingering attachments or filaments. I'm actually seeing in my mind's eye filaments or cords that are still attached to you with regards to you setting these new boundaries for yourself. And until you are ready emotionally, psychologically, and so on to completely release them, they're going to kind of linger around. So you might want to look into doing a little bit of attachment release. You have the Knight of Wands here. Now, the Knight of Wands is the Knight of Action. And again, you have another actionable card here as well. So the Knight of Wands normally rides into us. It's a card of celebration. It's a card of I have achieved something. But this card's coming up in your difficult influences. So, and it's coming up right next to the Ten of Swords. What that's telling me, Leo, is that you're bumping into these boundaries, and setting and holding boundaries is difficult work, but it's also very rewarding once you come out the other side of it. And I'm just picking up that that's what's going on. And also in your difficult influences, you have the Judgment card. Now, the Judgment card is not about you sitting in judgment of others. It's about you sitting in judgment of self, Leo. What are you sitting in judgment of? You are judging yourself harshly for having set boundaries. Interesting, right? But are you judging yourself harshly for having set healthy boundaries because someone else has been burdening you with their stuff? When you ask yourself that question, that's when you are sitting in judgment of self. And that's when you really begin to finally say, not my problem. And when you live that truth, it's powerful. It's truly empowering. Let's take a look at messages the universe wants Leo to hear for the month of August. I think I'm going to have to go through the deck a second time. Yeah, got nothing coming out for you. Oh, well, maybe we don't. Look at that. I have a group of cards that decided not to go back into the deck. Let's see. There's 4 messages here. Let's see what they are. Calm is not a weakness. That's an interesting card, considering you have the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands. You also have the Ten of Wands coming out. You've got a whole bunch of wands here, which are all action cards. They're all ruled by the element of fire, and the element of fire says, get moving. So calm is not a weakness. Everyone has value. Absolutely. As much as everyone has value, you have value as well, Leo. So remember that when you're setting boundaries for yourself. Like attracts like. Uh-huh. Yeah. The problem with like attracts like, think about magnets, right? Opposites attract when it comes to magnets. And then we have this confounding topic or subject of like attracts like. The issue is that if you think about polarity and magnetism, opposites attract. If you have like attracts like, eventually they will also repel each other, right? So there's this this issue of who do we go for? Who do we attract into our lives, right? And the reality is we have to stop looking at things from duality. Looking at things from the duality of right and wrong, black and white, attract versus repel. We're looking at things from very much a 2D and 3D type world. When we can see the bigger picture, again, sitting in judgment of ourselves, we can recognize that everyone that comes into our life is actually a mirror. So it's a little different than the like attracts like, but it's a similar concept in that if we see in someone else something that we don't like, we have to look at ourselves and say, what are they reflecting back to us that we don't like in ourselves? Are we trying to hide a part of ourselves? And this is where we're going to dive deeper into the mirror principle as well as shadow work. And so I want to say that what's coming up here with your boundaries, you setting new healthy boundaries, um, is about you waking up to the mirror principle and beginning to do some deep shadow work. And as much as shadow work can be very uncomfortable, it's also very rewarding. So it does look, Leo, as if what you're going to be going through in the month of August is huge growth, beautiful growth, in fact. When we do shadow work, when we recognize the mirror principle, um, it it helps us to grow in leaps and bounds more so than a lot of other techniques. All right, we also have journey within. Absolutely. You've got the judgment card in your difficult influences. Yeah, you don't want to look in the mirror. Eek. Let's take a look at what is unexpected for you. Unexpected for Leo. Oh, that's a good card. All right. Um, some of the cards landed upside down. I'm also going to pull this card out because it didn't fall back into the deck. Okay, the first card that we have out for you. Oh, we've got a lot of cards that came out. Some of them were stuck together. We have the Miser coming out. This card corresponds to the Four of Pentacles. This is the card of this is the card of take a good look at your relationship with your budget, your relationship with the material world, wants versus needs. Okay? I get the sense that the boundaries and burdens that are the theme of this reading, some of the reasons that you have been struggling against putting up healthy boundaries is because of your attachment and relationship to the material world and not exploring your wants versus your needs. So, yeah, journey within and explore deeply your wants versus your needs. You have the compromise card coming in. Whoops. The compromise card corresponds to the Six of Pentacles. This is a card of karma. What goes around comes around. That's coming up in your unexpected. You have two major arcana that have come in your unexpected. You have the Magician and you have no thingness. No thingness corresponds to the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant happens to be one of my favorite cards in the deck, but again, the Hierophant work requires boundaries. It requires some very deep lessons. And the Magician. So you do have the Hierophant or the no thingness card coming in first. Again, the only way to go into doing this work, journey within, you'll notice that there is nothing on this card. It is about going back to our source. I'm going to back up just a moment and I'm going to dive into this card for just a moment for you, Leo, so that you can understand it on a deeper level. And I think this really gets to the crux of your reading. This card is about us coming into this life, this human experience, as a blank slate. And we are then introduced to certain institutions. The first institution that we're introduced to is our family. And our family has certain belief systems. We adopt some of those unconditionally as a baby and as a child. We then move into our greater community and culture. They have certain belief systems. We adopt those belief systems unconditionally as children. We then move into the educational institution. Again, Certain belief systems, certain things are taught, things are a certain way. We adopt those, we accept them. But then eventually, usually in and around the mid-20s, we wake up and we look around and we go, wait a minute, that's no longer resonating for me. That belief system that my family had, that belief system that my religious institution had, that belief system that that teacher taught to me, it doesn't resonate for me anymore. I need to make some changes in my life. That's what this card is all about. Boundaries, burdens, and judgment. That's what your reading is about. When you move through the Hierophant work, when you do the deep Hierophant work, when you do shadow work, that is when you ultimately move into the existence card. This card corresponds to the Magician. This is the card of understanding that we create our own reality through being accountable, through doing shadow work, through doing Hierophant work. We create our reality. And finally, in your unexpected, you have the 10 of water or the 10 of cups. Now, I do want to point out that this is the third 10 in your reading. You have the 10 of swords, the 10 of wands, and now you have the 10 of cups. I want you to pay close attention to the 10th of August. I suspect that something big is going to come up for you in and around the 10th of August. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, because the 10 of Cups is the happiest card in the deck. You have 3 cards that are considered happy cards in the tarot. You have the Sun, the Star, and the 10 of Cups. This card is known as the happily ever after card. You'll notice here it is about harmony. And what I want to say is that if you listen to this reading closely and you implement fresh, healthy boundaries, if you explore the burdens and realize that some of the burdens that you're bearing are not yours and you give them back to those other people, when you sit in judgment of self and you do the shadow work and then you move into the Hierophant work, I really feel like whatever's going to come up in and around the 10th of August is going to show you a happily ever after that you can have and that you can embrace, Leo. Like I said, doing this work is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. Your happily ever after card coming up in your unexpected is proof of that. All right, we're going to pull your final few cards. Where are we going for final few cards? I'm getting called back over here to the fairy deck. All right, let's look at your general overall outcome. That was a pile that just came out. They were all stuck together, and so was that. All right. This is kind of a lot. So I'm not going to read all these cards. I'm going to mix these up and ask the fairies to give us 2 or 3 cards to close out your reading. 2 or 3 cards, fairies, for the final general overall outcome for Leo. All right. Come on, fairies. 2 or 3 cards, please. All right. Should we try mixing you this way? Ah, there we go. That's once, twice, one more time through the deck. 3 times. Okay. In your final overall outcome, you have the 5 of Autumn. The 5 of Autumn corresponds to the 5 of Pentacles, and it is a card saying reach out to others for help and assistance if you need to. It's also encouraging you not to make any career changes at this time. It's a card of take a step back, wait, and allow all of these energies to integrate into your life and your surroundings. Sorry, I'll just show you that card there. And you also have the Princess of Summer. The Princess of Summer corresponds to the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is a little bit naive, a little bit impulsive, but the Page of Cups is a very social figure. And what I want to say, what I'm picking up from this card for you, Leos, is that once you've done this other work, this boundaries work, the burdens work, the judgment card, the Hierophant work, when you've done that work, you're going to begin to attract a new social group that you will resonate more deeply with than the people that you felt like you were forced to put up some firm boundaries with. I love that this card came out for you at the very end of your reading because it shows sort of you coming full circle from feeling like you need to put up boundaries with your social circle to welcoming in a new social circle that you resonate with on a more deep level. So, with that, I'm going to leave off your reading. Thank you so much for being here, Leo. Please like and subscribe.